Welcome, everybody, to Wire2Wire Sports Podcast. I'm in a great mood tonight. I'm fired up. EA Sports in the game. I'm the NFL genius, Gene Walzak. We got some NFL topics to talk about tonight. We got some NBA topics to talk about tonight. We're bringing some baseball back. Nick Reyes, I know you're in the chat already waiting for it. EA Sports. I'm in the game. And in the upper left corner, I got Kent State's own, Cleveland's own, College Cutro.
Gene, you talking about being EA Sports in the game. You bring up, you say the word college, and I'm ready. I keep getting more news about this college football game. I'm ready for it to drop. Like you're making me even more excited.
How amazing does that game look? Did you see the
Absolutely.
Bro, it's nothing like Madden. That's what I love. They look like they took their time. Shally is buying a PlayStation to play college football. Because Scholastic Shally, Uncle Shally, and last night, all you can call him was Doc. Mr. William Shallcross, how you feeling tonight?
Feeling great as well. Big win last night. I'm also getting college football fever like a trail. We're under 100 days to the start of the season. Love that. And yeah, college football. Listen, a lot of us diehards have been waiting a decade for that game. It's going to come out. It's going to consume a lot of time. My boy's on the cover, and I share the enthusiasm that both of you guys do. I think it looks absolutely incredible. So I am pumped, to say the least, about that game.
I'm fired up. I'm fired up about the college game. I'm fired up about MLB baseball, the best team in baseball right now, the Philadelphia Phillies. And by the way, after they beat the defending world champions last night, guys, it's an under 500 team. They suck. Doesn't matter. Does not matter. Phillies stink because they don't beat teams that are above. They're playing at 700 cap. Shut your goddamn mouth. Phillies the best team in baseball. We got football action. NBA playoffs are heating up. What are we doing right now? Why are we putting this up on the screen right now? I'm not doing this right now. Take it down. That, by the way, just for fun, why that's up there, we're going to talk about that, obviously. But why that's up there, we're going to be doing that because our post got 750,000 views on just doing a pick your lineup. So we're going to do it here tonight on air. And Control has no idea how to take it off the screen. He's like, you can see it on his face. He has no idea. We might leave it in the upper left corner. It might be the fourth host of the show tonight.
Haha.
There we go. All right, so we got to talk about NBA playoffs first. Let's talk about the teams that went home. Correct me if I'm wrong. Last Wednesday's show was Cleveland. Was that the game they went home? That game?
Probably. If that was game 5, then yeah.
So we got to talk about Cleveland. We got to talk about what they need this offseason. We're going to give every single team that's been eliminated this last round a need, and then we're going to preview the Eastern and Western Conference Finals. We're already one game in. We've already watched a collapse happen. Me and Shally were at the field watching that thing. We're like, what is going on? Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to go. But let's talk about the lowly, pathetic Cleveland Cavaliers. Let's start with them. I'm kidding. We didn't even make it the second round. I'm just kidding. But, Cottrell, as a Cavs fan, what's your dream offseason? What off-season move do you want to happen that's realistic? Don't be like, my dream off-season is we get Steph, LeBron, Durant, like something realistic that can happen. What's your dream off-season?
I think I got two different visions, and I don't know if either of them actually happened, but one of them, I think you need to move on from either Evan or Jared Allen. Those two just can't play together. So for me, I'd move on from Jared Allen with Evan being the younger guy. And I'd call the Pelicans and say, hey, let's see what's going on with Brandon Ingram. Try to bring in a guy like Brandon Ingram. And I would want one of their wings as well. If you have to move Max Strus, so be it. If you have to move like another, role player, Karis LeVert maybe, so be it. I want to see if we could either get Trey Murphy or Herb Jones from them as well. I think that's one move that can make the team instantly better with those two players. Or, go crazy here. You say, something that's realistic. Well, last I checked, there's a 39-year-old guy out in LA that's going to be a free agent this offseason. Cavs don't have enough money to sign him. There's so many rumors about a guy that wants to leave town in Cleveland already. Let's facilitate a sign and trade, get Donovan Mitchell over to LA to play with AD, and bring the King back for one last hurrah in Cleveland and see what we can do. Those would be the two moves that I'd want to make this offseason.
So you're saying you'd welcome LeBron back with open arms?
Absolutely.
I wouldn't.
Soft.
I understand. You don't understand what it's like, what it takes to win a championship. So I get it.
I don't understand what it. Whoa. I don't understand what it's like to win a championship. Whoa.
We're talking about NBA here. Have you seen your team win a championship?
This is what I mean, right? You are selective. You're selective.
Are we not? What's the topic right now? What are we talking about right now? What are we talking about? NBA. Are we talking NBA or not?
We're talking NBA.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about here.
You guys got one in the last 40 years. We got one in the last 40 years.
Have you seen your team win one?
No.
Okay, then I have.
Oh,
that's great.
Callie's old enough to. He was two.
Yep. I was like 3, but yeah.
Charlie's seen all 3 of them.
Yep.
See, even Tiny doesn't want LeBron. Tiny doesn't even want LeBron. No LeBron, please. All right, so that's your dream off season for the Cavs. You gave me a boring one. I fell asleep during the first one, and I'm on pre-workout. And then the second one you gave me is unrealistic. That's fine. What do the Cavs need to do this offseason, Shally? Anything that you think the Cavs need to do to be able to be competitive? I think they need to blow it up. I think they need to start from scratch. Get rid of all the stars and get themselves a young draft pick. Trade Donovan Mitchell. That's the move. They don't have it.
I don't think it's a complete blow up. I think you have enough, guys there that I think if you bring in, the right stars that can play together and space the floor correctly, stuff like that Kachardi mentioned, then I think it's a relatively quick turnaround. I don't think Donovan Mitchell wants to be there. I don't think Cleveland's necessarily in love with him. I make a truck could probably comment on that more, but that's the biggest piece you have. So if you trade him, I find it weird that with his, as Brandon Ingram and his loyals he's been to that team, that he is the name that's kind of the hot name that's getting floated out there already with all these trades. I would take Brandon Ingram in a heartbeat on the Sixers. If the Cleveland can get him in a combo with something else like Cottrell said, I think you have to pull the trigger on that. And then you got to figure out your big guys. Jared Allen's great. I feel like he's kind of injury prone. And Mobley, I just don't think is, what we all hoped maybe he could be. So
I think Mobley's a good stretch 4 when you have a 5. The problem is when you don't have a 5, I don't think Mobley's
correct. And again, I think it's a matter of what you're going to bring in and then what it's going to look like going forward. And that then depends on, what you decide you can do. Can you keep both of them? Or do you have to move one of them? I just think I'll say this. I think they're in the same situation as a lot of other teams in the East, including the Sixers. The status quo isn't going to work. Like you've seen where you are now, that Boston nucleus is locked in for a while. You have to make moves to keep up with them. And you have to assume Milwaukee's going to be better next year. So I think the status quo is just not going to work, and they got to make moves accordingly, just like Philly does and a couple other teams. So,
you brought up Philly. You brought up Philly. We didn't talk about Philly. They've been rumored a ton, and I'm not, they weren't eliminated last round, so we don't really have to talk about them much. But you have a choice, right? Paul George, Jimmy Butler. Let's just say A or B. Who do you want here for the? Who do you sign for the next 4 years?
I thought we were talking about realistic options.
Yeah, both of them are real.
Paul George is realistic for sure. Jimmy Butler is under contract and with the Miami Heat.
Yeah, but they're having issues. They're having big issues over there.
Don't we hear that every year with them? Jimmy's not going anywhere.
Okay, we'll see.
I don't think Jimmy's going anywhere. I think the fact that Pat Riley said that so early on and got out that far in front of it, I don't think he's going anywhere. And honestly, I know the Jimmy and JoJo love affair they have. The dude's playing. He's to make Gene's reference, he's turning into Mike Trout of NBA. He plays 50 games a year. He hasn't been healthy in 3 years. And I'm not giving up anything big to get him to take on that contract either. I don't think – I think if we would have kept Jimmy and he never left, I think it's a different story. But the current Jimmy Butler form, I don't think moves the needle for us and puts us over the edge. I don't want anything to do with that. I don't want anything to do with Paul George either.
I think Jimmy Butler for at least 1 year puts us over the edge. And you don't want anything to do with Paul George?
No.
We need a third player. Who are you getting?
Yeah, but
how much better? Honest to God, how much better Paul George playing off the ball, not touching it that much? How much better is he going to be?
You're not doing this. You're not going to say it. Say a name.
I'm not going to say the name.
George than Tobias Harris? Is that what you're about to say? How much better is Paul George than Tobias Harris?
Him playing off the ball, not touching the ball. What do you think he's going to average?
19, 8, and 4.
I'll undertake it all day. There's no way that guy touches 19 points. He doesn't average 19 now when Kawhi doesn't play.
That's not accurate. That's not accurate.
He's not going to score 19.
That's not accurate.
Touching the ball every fourth possession.
It's
not going to happen.
Hold on. You just said he averaged 23 this year, and Kawhi played all year. He averaged 24 last year, 24 the year before. He's never averaged below 19 ever.
To be fair, I disagree with like that's. I think Paul George would be fine like regular season. The problem is that come playoff time he shrinks so much, and especially if you're in a situation where, again, if we're just going off of past history here, Joel Embiid is going to come into the playoffs banged up. Tyrese Maxey is going to be your number one option. And you're going to be relying on Paul George to go out there and put up 25 or 30 every night to consistently give you guys offense. Like, I think he makes the Sixers better for sure. He'd be the best third option they had since Jimmy left out of town. But with that said, that's not the move that I'd be going all out to make. I think
how much better would he be than Tobias Harris?
Hey,
Tobias Harris sucks. Tobias Harris should be in the goddamn G League. He stinks. And someone's going to give him 3 years, $60 million. That's the worst part. He's going to get $20 million a year to be Tobias Harris, and he sucks. Dude, I'm not kidding with you. I might have a better chance of beating Tobias Harris in a shooting contest.
Oh, here we go.
It's unbelievable. I can't.
You have no shot at beating Tobias Harris in a shooting contest.
He sucks. He's terrible.
He's in the NBA. You're not. That's stupid.
All right. Let's go into other playoff teams. There you go. Who was 1,000 times better. Thank you, Derek Dempsey.
But
Kevin Mooney wants to say Toby and Beetlejuice for Jimmy Buckets. Cottrell, would you trade Mitchell for a sign and trade for Tobias Harris?
Absolutely not.
Why not? He's a stud. He's the guy. All right. We got to go to other teams that have been eliminated. Who else was eliminated in this last week? We have the Thunder. I wouldn't do anything with the Thunder.
Thunder, fine.
Nothing. Let him grow.
I like the idea of
still more draft picks. I mean, they're going to be even better next year.
I like the idea of letting them grow. I would love a vet in that locker room somewhere.
Like who?
Like
Kevin Durant?
No, not Kevin Durant.
He's coming home.
I would say
Aiden Harden going home.
I don't know.
AD wants to sign with one season to make them no longer one.
Say like a guy like PJ Tucker. Like I feel like he's always the name you throw out there. But I'm just saying I would want to vet in that locker room. That
PJ Tucker.
Come on, PJ Cardio.
I'm not saying he's specifically the guy, but I'm just saying I would like a vet in that locker room. There's a ton of young guys there, and going up against that Mavericks team, I'm not saying they lost because of inexperience, but the Mavs had, like, Luka's been in the playoffs before. Kyrie's been in the playoffs before. Derrick Jones Jr., he was down in Miami when they were making their playoff runs. So, like, they had experience there. And granted, these guys will get that experience just being on a team and especially just having this year under their belt. But having veterans in the locker room, I do think makes a difference. And, you know, I think it could help having that voice for all those young kids.
That last point is the reason why I'm actually going to disagree with you. I think them learning what they learned this year all together, I think was important. And now they all have that experience. I would let it all go organically. I don't think you bring anybody in. I think you're, like I said, they have another number one, bunch of number ones this year, next year. I think you just keep drafting and keep building. Like everybody becomes a playoff player for the first time eventually, and they all went through it together this year. And I think you just let that locker room continue to gel and get closer. I don't think you bring anybody in to mess with it. I really don't. All those guys are going to be there for the next 4 or 5 years. I just think you let them go and just let it happen by itself. Just my opinion.
I think it should be organic. I agree with you. I don't now to Cottrell's point. I wouldn't mind them signing like a veteran off the bench to kind of give them an adult in the locker room. I get that. That's not like
crazy. I get it.
Like, and they have the money and the picks to do it. Like, you could easily ship a first-round pick over and maybe a player or two and grab Bobby Portis off of Milwaukee when they blow that shit up, because that's going to be gone soon. That Milwaukee situation is hilarious. I love that Doc Rivers is.
That's got one more year in the tank, though.
That's it. They're done. I love it. Sorry.
Bring in Doc to lose. That's what you do.
Hey, listen. Doc's great at blowing it up. So let's move on. New York Knicks. New York Knicks. It's an easy one, right? This is an easy one, right? You get rid of Stucco and you bring in Mikal Bridges. That's the move. You get rid of Stucco, Velcro. Ball sticks to his hands. Doesn't go anywhere. They got rotation, and then Julius Randle touches it, and it stops.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Julius Randle being traded is the easiest decision to make.
Well, that's how you get Mikal Bridges in there. You have to move on from Julius Randle.
Well, I mean, it's at what point, though, do you have to go towards the front court to get somebody? Like, how many guards are you going to bring in? I mean,
forward.
6'5", 6'6" guys like Josh Hart. You're running lineups out there with Josh Hart, Anunoby, Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, and a 5. Like, I get it.
The way Josh Hart, say whatever. The way Josh Hart rebounds, you really don't need a 4.
I get the sentiment there, but like the reality of it is, especially if Philly goes out there and gets a good wing, you would have that there. You would have Boston with Tatum and Brown. You would have the Bucks with
Josh Hart can't stick Jason Tatum.
I would be comfortable if somebody else did, somebody bigger.
Mikal Bridges can't stick Jason Tatum.
I'm not saying he can't, but I'm saying I'd be comfortable with somebody bigger. Give me a forward.
I run 4 in a center. You got Hartenstein, you got Mitchell, whatever.
I'm just saying that.
One thing I'll say, I'll agree with Gene on that is, I mean, Hartenstein's proven that he's more than serviceable. I mean, he knocked JoJo around. I mean,
as a big, yeah.
Well, you only need one big. I think you don't need 2 bigs. Josh Hart plays like a big.
To Gene's point, if you feel like you're getting that next, if you can get another star in the situation like Gene's saying, then to some degree I agree. Then you just run the Hartenstein and run 4 guys around him, because he's more than capable of playing that role.
The Knicks team's 1 year older, just 1 year older, 1 more year experience, and you swap out Julius Randle for Mikal Bridges. They're in the NBA Finals right now.
The reason why I disagree is because you're looking at the teams that are remaining now. None of them have lineups where they got 4 tweener or like guards or forwards. Like, they have, I'm not going to say traditional, but they have bigger wings. Like, that's an important piece in today's NBA, especially when you keep getting guys in the draft that are going to be 6'8", 6'9", or sometimes even 7 foot that have guard like skills.
I think you're really kind of hurting your own cause here. You can say they have tweeners, but when you look at that Minnesota versus Dallas series, I don't give a shit about anybody unless they're a 7-footer or a guard, because everybody else in that series is just window dressing. I want Luka, Kyrie, Ant Edwards, Cat, and maybe you throw the French fry in there. But
okay,
that's the 5 stars in the series. I don't care about wings.
That's fine, Gene. But
I don't care about him.
You talk about that series specifically. My point that literally goes right into my point. You're throwing, in the case with the Knicks, they be throwing Josh Hart on a guy like Cat who's playing the 4, and on Luka's
Cat's too soft to play inside anyway. He shoots. That's why he brought Gobert in.
Luka's a 6'6" guard. Like, I know Luka's just.
And Josh Hart could stick Luka.
Yeah, and he's gonna give him buckets. Like that's just the reality situation. You saw
Mikal Bridges is already stuck, Luka.
You saw Pascal Siakam was scoring in the Knicks series. He was the best player for the Pacers because they had nobody to match that size, especially when they had Miles Turner out there.
I mean, I guess.
I mean, the biggest point here is I don't think Brooklyn trades him, and he's already publicly said that he likes it there, that he wants to stay there. And
he does not want to stay in Brooklyn. That's it.
He's already said it.
That's a
granted. If somebody calls and like, "Hey, we're going to trade you to Milwaukee," hey, Giannis.
Mikal Bridges is being a good teammate.
That's the Jay Wright effect. That's Jay Wright. Jay Wright taught him to say that.
Brooklyn, you're gonna have to give up a lot to get him.
All right, last. What would you do if you were the defending world champs, Denver Nuggets? They're eliminated. Which we're going to talk about this series right now, like right after this. What do you do with them?
They're not going to do much. I mean, they're winning Game 7. They've folded a little bit down the stretch, which is out of ordinary for them. I think they look tired off last year's run, if I'm being 100% honest. You know, if you can go out and get somebody that you help fix, improves the rotation, and you get a piece like that, or maybe another scorer. But I mean, I don't think you're going to see anything drastic out of Denver. I don't think you have to.
I think Denver needs that like tweener kind of guy. I think that, at least to me, it seemed like Bruce Brown was evidently missed in this like series. You want a guy that can play defense and that can shoot the three, especially when you got Joker that can find anybody that's open. So I think you go out, you get a reliable vet that can shoot and defend. Name that kind of comes to mind for me would be a guy like Malik Monk. I think that could be like a really good fit for them. Comfortable being a six man. Maybe you see what Dallas is talking about with Tim Hardaway Jr. if they'd be willing to move off of him after this season. I don't think they did make any big splashes, but just bring in somebody off the bench that can be reliable for you, play defense, and can shoot.
Well, let's talk about that series, because that series ended Sunday, and it ended Sunday night in a bang. And it was an incredible game to watch. It was basically – it's funny because I've never watched one game encapsulate the first 6 games of a series. Like the Nuggets were blowing them out by 20, kind of like they did in Game 5. Look real good, running away with the game. And then I'll tell you right now, Anthony Edwards didn't play great basketball for 3 quarters, but said, I'm going to shut Jamal Murray down and put him in a blender in the 4th quarter. And that was incredible to watch. Listen, I'm going to tell you something right now. The adjustment that they made, and I don't know why they didn't stay with it, because it worked. And, Gobert gets hurt and he doesn't play game 2, and they don't. But the adjustment they made, having Karl Anthony Towns. And by the way, Draymond Green needs to shut up, bro. I'm going to get off topic. Draymond Green needs to shut up. That is hilarious what just happened. I need that clip later. But he's on. Yo, this is great. Everybody pause and look at Shally. All right. But the adjustment that they made by having Karl Anthony Towns stick Joker and having Gobert basically play center field, play strong safety, which we're going to talk about. I think that was the move of the series. Aaron Gordon had his one shining moment where he absolutely killed it. But outside of that, man, it was a great adjustment. Your thoughts, Cottrell?
I mean, that adjustment itself, like, say what you want about it. Like, I definitely think that it put Minnesota in a good spot. I think the biggest thing, though, is that the first part that you mentioned with Anthony Edwards going and taking on the challenge of Jamal Murray. He went out and said, happens again. He went out and said, you had that first half and the Nuggets were up 15 at the break. Then that lead got up to 20. And ultimately that was when Anthony Edwards said, hey, I'm going to take the best matchup. I'm sticking Jamal Murray and we're going to figure it out from here. I do think, having Rudy come over in rotation to help out on Cat was, a good strategy for that Nuggets team to have. But I think Ant taking on the challenge of Jamal Murray was the biggest key. Not to mention, Michael Porter Jr. looked nothing like the Michael Porter Jr. that we saw in that Lakers series. He couldn't buy any shots. And so that made Minnesota's rotations a lot easier. And I feel like that Minnesota team just took advantage of that. They got out when they were forcing turnovers. They got out in transition. They were getting some easy buckets, and that's how you beat that Denver team. And for the first time, I mean, I think Mike Malone had a little bit of a flaw, and I think he ran Joker a little too much. Like, you could tell visibly in that fourth quarter that Joker was tired. And I feel like, I understand you don't want the game to get away from you. You know, Minnesota was cutting into the lead very fast, but you got to steal some Joker minutes there. Like, you have to get him on the bench there because you want him as close to fully rested as possible. And you could just tell that he wasn't a factor. I mean, the guy had like 20 points and 20 rebounds with, you know, a little bit left in the third quarter. In the fourth quarter, he was pretty much a ghost out there. So I'm actually surprised that Mike Malone didn't get Joker some more rest in there as well.
Can we give Chris Finch his credit? Like, he doesn't get talked about much as a coach, but what he's done when everybody laughed at them for the 4 first-rounders for Rudy Gobert, it's the second defensive player of the year. Karl Anthony Towns has been labeled as soft his whole career. Anthony Edwards coming out of draft didn't love basketball. Remember that? Oh, and listen, I was guilty of that, right? All the reports. Can we give Chris Finch some credit? The guy deserves it, because Mike Malone, top 3 coach in the NBA right now, and I felt like he got out-coached in the series. You know, Mike, and it was like a punch, counter punch, counter punch. And Minnesota came out with the haymaker. Michael Malone responded with the counter punch, and Minnesota withheld. And even in that game 7, down 20 points to be up 10, end up ultimately winning by 8, 30-point swing. That was a very good game 7. And it was fun to watch that comeback, and it was fun to watch what Minnesota brings to the table.
Agreed.
Chow, you good?
I'm good.
No,
oh man,
sound quality's not, but that's all right. Let's talk about the upcoming series that are happening, right? You know what? Let's give the Knicks. Look at a Knicks fan in the chat. Let's give the Knicks. There was a game 7 Sunday. I want to preface this by saying, Knicks fans, look, I'm not going to do what the rest of the national media is doing and trash Tom Thibodeau for rotations and playing these guys so many minutes and they all got hurt. I'm not going to do that. I'm not. Because I don't know. I know that team played hard for Tibbs. I do. And I think some of those injuries were just real freak injuries. Now, the few that happened at the end,
Brunson is probably the only one in my opinion, but
you don't think the Bogdanovich injury in the Sixers series was a freak injury? That wasn't an injury because he was playing too many minutes.
Okay, I'll give you Bogdanovich too, I guess.
And you think the Julius Randle injury was because he was playing too many minutes?
Robinson and Anunoby, I do.
Yeah, no, the Anunoby one I think would be, and definitely Robinson. Robinson was a stress related, which means you're playing too many minutes. Yep. But I think that Randall's and Brunson's and Bogdanovich, I think a lot of those injuries were kind of freak injuries. Now, with that being said, I don't know how much he was overplaying these guys because his lack of depth because of the injuries, right? But what I will say is this. That game 7 was very unfun to watch because Josh Hart, you could tell, was playing out there with all heart. Turns out he had a torn abdominum. He's playing a game with a torn abdominum. That's really tough to do. Jalen Brunson's out there playing with all heart. He had surgery already. OG tried making it out in the game, played 5 minutes, and they're just like, I can't do it.
Got 2 buckets too.
Right? I think that the Knicks need to learn from their mistakes this year and get these guys a little bit more rest next year and be able to have a depth and a rotation going into the playoffs. You guys can trash Tibbs. That team played their ass off for Tibbs. They loved him.
No,
I'm not for me fan or a hater, but they played their ass off.
For me, I don't necessarily think it was trashing Tibbs. Like I'm not saying that like you just have to trash Tibbs. I guess the part that kind of confused me a bit is like when he had to go to his bench for more. I mean, Alec Burks gave you quality minutes. Like McBride was giving you quality minutes. So it's not like they had to go. Like Josh Hart didn't have to play 48 minutes a game. Like over that 3-4 game stretch. Like that didn't have to happen. I am a fan of shortening up your rotations, especially come playoff time, and I do give Tibbs credit for that. I thought that the Knicks had a decent enough bench where they could have had the rotation. I get it, after a lot of the injuries happened, like you weren't planning on going into the playoffs with right out the gate no Randall. Bogdanovich gets hurt in the first round. Mitchell Robinson goes out. Like those are three guys that you're planning on having in that rotation as well. But ultimately, I think even with the guys that he had, rotations could have still been a little bit better, especially seeing Alec Burks have, an impact that he did after he started to get the playing time.
So, no, Nick Reyes said no one in New York is trashing Tibbs. I listen to Sports Radio 24/7. Yeah, maybe not in New York, but
everywhere else.
Yeah, everywhere else, bro. Are you listening to just New York radio? Like, I'm just trying to understand. I've heard it from at least 5 or 6 different podcasts, different shows, but whatever. Maybe I'm wrong. Shai, what are your thoughts on the New York Knicks and the rotations? And the Josh Hart thing, 100% was due to overusage.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think I think both can be true. I think guys can be playing their hearts out, and that's what you expect from guys in the playoffs. Like you got to go out there till you're pretty much have to get drugged off the court, or you have like a really serious injury. That being said, when you play that much, you get more susceptible to getting hurt. Like Gene said, like they're freak injuries. Like some of them are, but at the same time, you're more likely to get hurt when your body's run down like that. And somebody mentioned it before, like that's his MO. He's done it other places. He likes playing a really short bench all year long and runs guys into the ground. I don't think that's why they lost. To Gene's point, I mean, those guys left it all on the court. They just ran out of gas. And if you want to, put all of that on Tibbs, you can. But, at the same time, not having, 3 guys, that you mentioned, and Robinson and Randall and all those guys that are, either starters or guys that are off the bench right away, that's a lot of minutes and a lot of production that you're trying to soak up with other guys. Like you said, you mentioned Josh Hart. Going into the season, Josh Hart wasn't supposed to play 42 minutes a game in the playoffs. That was not the plan at all. So he played his way into that and kind of stepped up when people went down. But at the same time, they were missing a lot of people that made it hard too. So it's just a lot of – it was one of those perfect storms that if you're a Knicks fan, it sucks because it feels like everything was going against you. But, I do think you'll see Randall get traded. What he gets traded for will be interesting. But I think if they're a healthy team next year, I think they're built for another run.
All right, so let's take a step back from this, right? Nick seems very upset because he seems like a pro Tibbs supporter, and I don't want to upset him anymore. Like I don't. But I will say this: he said, "What do you want him to play, Jacob Toppin?" Well, they could play Shake Milton, who's played meaningful playoff minutes before, and he was buried deep on their bench. They could have played Shake. Like he can hit 3-pointers, and I think he's a better player than Deuce McBride is, if I'm being honest with you.
1 every 3 games he does. I mean, the weird cult love affair some people have with Shake Milton in the city is wild to me.
Okay, I know you're a hater. I do realize that.
To Gene's point, I mean, it's a body that you can throw out there. I'm not saying you give him 20 minutes a game, but if that means you get Josh Hart 3 minutes of rest on the bench, then Shake is more than serviceable to go out there and play defense and hit a corner 3 here or there. Like, so I mean, that's where I'm at with it. I think
I get it. But at that point, then like you have to say, then you got to put it on Tibbs. You can't say you didn't play Shake Milton, you didn't play these guys for 5 minutes here and there, But then on the other hand, say Tibbs didn't run some of his guys in the ground because he did. Like you can't have it both ways.
Okay.
I'm just not crucifying for. I think he ran
I'm
the
not
guys in the
either.
ground. I'm just not crucifying him for it. I'm a fan of that. It just didn't work out for him this time around.
Well, let's
He
talk
ran out of
about.
bullets. I think his hand was very limited with what he could do. And that's I'm not going to crucify him.
Let's talk about last night's game. Indiana Pacers, who won the game 7, played against the Boston Celtics in the Garden. They're down 10 early, cut it to 3 at the half, come out in the second half like they're playing with house money. They hold a lead. They hold that lead down the stretch, and I'm going to take you to 3, up 3, inbounding the basketball, inbounding 101. Rick Carlisle coached a masterclass the entire game, and I don't know what happened. You're inbounding the ball up 3. All you need to do is get it to somebody to shoot a foul shot. Your play was a Pascal Siakam push-off pass. I don't understand. That was the move. Terrible inbound play. Then, I'm not – listen, we can talk about all we want. We can talk about Jaylen Brown, whether they should foul or not foul and how they should handle it. I'm always of the inclination if it's on the offensive end, you don't foul. If they have to go across the court, you do foul. Because I don't want there to be a scenario where you reach in to potentially foul someone and they throw their arms up behind the three-point line and now they're shooting 3. Jaylen Brown's 3 last night was a miracle. He was 0 for 3 on the night. He had no threes made, and he took basically a double clutch three-pointer from the corner that went in. Clutch play. And by the way, shout out to Nick Reyes. Sent me a clip. Did you guys hear Jaylen Brown after the game taking a little shot at Jason Tatum? Did anybody else hear this?
I did not.
No.
Oh, my Lord. So he goes, JT decided to wake up in the playoffs and start making – wake up in the overtime and start making shots.
I did hear him say that.
Oh, man. And they said we got to be better, and basically that was that. That seemed like there was animosity behind that. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading in the shit. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. But it felt like Missoula got outcoached again. And Cottrell's been warning us about this forever. Forever. Cottrell, what did you see last night when you watched the game?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was a situation where I felt like, once again, Missoula got outcoached. And I think that's been if I'm being honest, I think it's been a trend in this playoffs here. I think he's just had the luxury of going up against teams that haven't even been close to either fully healthy or having the tools to beat a team like Boston. And even with this Pacers team, and I get it, before I start going in on Missoula, I understand that the Celtics don't have Kristaps Porzingis, and I'm not just going in on Boston because of that, or in spite of that, I should say. But I think with this Pacers team, there's no reason why that game should have been as close as it was, especially game 1 where the Celtics had the extra rest and the Pacers literally just played game 7 2 days prior. I felt like that Celtics team in a lot of games, it almost feels like they come into the games being very complacent, and they know that they can turn it on whenever they want to. And against this Pacers team, you're not going to just be able to do that because of how well they shoot. All year, we've talked about the Pacers offense being incredible and how they can shoot the ball. Defense has just always been the question with them. You're up 3 in that situation. There's 2 reasons why I hate how it unfolded. One, if you're Rick Carlisle, why, and I know he talked about it in the post-game presser, but why not call a timeout there, advance the ball, and then worst case scenario, you make Boston drive all the way up the court. Gives you, one, if you turn the ball over, you have ample time to foul if you want to do that. 2, you have a foul to give, so it's not like they can catch you out in transition, things like that. That transition take foul is off the table that late in the game, so it doesn't make sense to me there. And then the flip side of that, if you hold on to that timeout, your inbounder needs to know, hey, if nothing is there, we have a timeout in our back pocket. We can just call it and go from there. So
correct.
I think I think Indiana, they had done a great job of taking control of that game late, but Rick Carlisle felt like just didn't have a grasp or wasn't prepared to really be in that moment for that, because his guys didn't know to take a time out there, and he didn't have the wherewithal to just say, hey, we're going to advance the ball. If we turn it over here or something bad happens, at least Boston has to go the full length of the court, and we can figure it out afterwards.
I couldn't agree with everything you just said even more. The one thing I will say about the Pacers is this. I know, and maybe I'm just, I could be in a minority here. When are they going to give Obi Toppin and TJ McConnell the minutes that they're given to Aaron Naismith and Andrew Nembhard? Because, look, I get it. It's 15 minutes on each end, right? One's playing 15 minutes more than the other. The team looks better when McConnell and Toppin are on the court instead of Naismith and Nembhard. You can play McConnell with Halliburton. You can do that. Like, I don't know why they don't do that more. I don't understand it. TJ McConnell is having an incredible postseason. Obi Toppin has found a perfect role on this Indiana team. Sit down Naismith and Nembhard, especially if Nembhard is not hitting his threes, he's worthless. If Naismith is not hitting his threes, he's worthless. Worthless. I couldn't. I was very upset with that. I obviously would love to see this Pacers win the series. I think they lose in 5 now. I think Boston comes out and destroys them in game 2. I think Indiana will win game 3. And this is exactly what I told you about the Cavs series. They missed the opportunity when they had it. Then they quit. And I think that you're going to see the same thing in this series. Indiana missed the opportunity when they have it. They're going to go down 0-2 because Boston's going to kick the shit out of them in game 2. And then you got a shot to win game 4 after you win game 3 at home, because Boston will show up like, oh, lackadaisical again. And you lose game 4, and I think they lose in 5. I think the Celtics lose the series in 5. Your thoughts on the series?
Win.
I mean, I said I was standing next to you last night when it was unfolding, and we both looked at each other, and when they blew it in over, when they got to overtime, we're like, Boston's going to win.
Yep.
And then Boston won in overtime. We both looked at each other and said the series is over, and I believe that. I think if they win last night, I think it's the outlook on everything is completely different. I agree with everything Gene said. I think Boston, again, had their wake-up call, squeaked out somehow. I think they'll win big tomorrow night. Go back to Indiana. They'll be pumped. They'll win game 3. I think Boston wins a close game 4, and that'll be a wrap.
So I think the interesting thing, too, is that obviously we weren't able to have a show before last night's game. Like, we all picked New York to ultimately win and, go to the conference finals. But before that happened, before the game last night, I was really looking at this series and just thinking about this Pacers team. This Pacers team might be, and this is going to sound so disrespectful, but like, at least of recent memory, like the worst team I can think of to make the conference finals.
Atlanta Hawks 3 years ago.
You think that they're the number 1 seed? You're talking about that, like Atlanta Hawks?
No, I'm talking the Atlanta Hawks that beat the number 1 seed, the 76.
Oh, that beat the 6. Okay. Fair enough. But I mean, very comparable though.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Trey, you got Hallie. Like, I get it. It's not the exact same across the board, but I was thinking that this is a Knicks team that's not Knicks, but Pacers team that's very, very fortunate. Like, first you see, the Bucks team that Giannis doesn't play the entire series. Dame only plays half the series. Then you get this Knicks team that looked like they were in control after a dominant game 5, and all these things happen to them injury-wise. Like, Josh Hart gets the ribs, and Brunson gets hurt in game 7. And, obviously OG was gone for a lot of that series as well. The Pacers just felt very lucky to be there. And I thought going in that this was going to be a Boston sweep. And then I see the game last night. I'm like, oh, the Pacers really shut me up, and they're going to make this a series, especially if they can win game 1. But now I'm back on board. I think I got the Celtics sweeping them. I think if anything, they win one game, that one game in Indiana, whether it's game 3 or game 4, and then Celtics come back and win at home in 5. But it's crazy the difference that winning and losing that game in that fashion can be. Like, I think this is going to be very similar to what we saw in that Thunder and Pelican series round 1, where I overreacted, saw what happened, and I thought that they really had a shot to beat them. But the reality situation is they're outmanned here. Boston's way too talented, and when you let games like that get away, even if you say it doesn't, it messes with your mental, knowing that you let it slip away.
I'm gonna take a little side shot at Cottrell, but in fun, in good fun. Trust me. Just hear me out. When I met Cottrell, one of the first conversations we had was about the bubble. We met. It was right around the bubble championship, and he goes, "I'm gonna go Lakers Heat. I think the Lakers beat the Heat in the bubble championship," and he had it perfect. And this was before the playoffs even started. And he was spot on. And I'm like, this guy's basketball pedigree is there. Like, guy can see the future. Here's a side shot, bro. Cottrell's been wrong about almost every series in this entire playoffs. And I mean that, right? I'm not like, he's never this wrong, ever.
That's so incorrect.
Okay.
I've only gotten 2 more series wrong than you have.
You're not giving me the Clippers. I told you that if Kawhi wasn't healthy, I was picking Dallas. I said,
of course I'm not giving you the Clippers. You didn't. I said Kawhi wasn't going to play and the Mavs were going to win, and that's what happened. You picked the Clippers.
I said,
knowing coming in that he had knee injuries.
It's the only one I got wrong. And then the Knicks in the second round. That's it.
Well, I mean, you also got the Sixers. You're not counting that because it was a homer.
I don't count. It's a homer pick.
See,
it's a homer pick. We don't count homer pick.
You're saying that.
I picked Minnesota when they were down 3-2. You flip-flop like you were a Democrat in a primary. I'm kidding. But look, let's call it like it is, right? We have the series that we've been waiting for. The main event of the evening. I am going on record now by saying this might be the most exciting Western Conference Championship series of all time. I'm on record saying that now. You have the next ones. And I dubbed this series the next ones a week and a half ago when I picked it. You have Luka Doncic versus... No, I didn't. That's a lie. Don't do that. Luka Doncic versus Anthony Edwards. You have the next ones. Luka versus Ant. And I could not be more fired up for this series. I could not. I'm EA Sports. I'm in the game. I'm ready. I'm not kidding with you. This is one of those series where I made my prediction already. So I'm not going to change it, right? But I could be swayed. I think I know what happens tonight. I think tonight's the rather easy game to pick. I think this is the easy one. It'll be a good game. I think it's the easy one. Dallas has been terrible in game ones throughout their history. Luka's like 1-11 in game ones. Just be clear. I think Minnesota wins tonight. I think it'll be close, but I think Minnesota wins tonight. I think this series goes 7. I think it's super exciting. I think you'll have 6 of the 7 games that are within 10 points. I think this is the series you want to watch. And I can't wait to watch it tonight, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. I'm fired up. Cottrell, what do you think happens in this series? Minnesota versus Dallas. Kyrie and Anthony Edwards said, oh, we have the Mavs, and I'm sticking Kyrie.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I see the series going the same way you do. I think it goes all 7. I'm on the opposite side, though. I like the Mavs to get it done. I think this is going to be – it'll be very interesting to see how this Timberwolves team matches up defensively against that Mavs team, because when you were going up against the Nuggets, you know, you had Joker and Aaron Gordon, who Aaron Gordon is an okay shooter, but they were more than comfortable letting him shoot 3-ball. In this series, I'd imagine that they're going to be having lineups where it's going to be Luka, Kyrie, PJ, and Derek Jones, and then whoever their 5 is, whether it be Gafford or Lively at the time. And both those guys, and PJ and Derek Jones, can hit the 3-ball and hit it rather consistently. So you can't just, you know, play those guys together. Like, you're going to either be bringing Rudy away from the basket, or you're going to have a lot of switches. I mean, Kyrie and Luke are going to hunt those switches and take Gobert away from the basket. And so I think this will be a very fun chess match. I think Minnesota has the advantage as far as, coach goes, but when it's all said and done, as much as I love Ant, like I told you guys through text, I think he's becoming one of my favorite players in the league. And there's no doubt about it. But I think ultimately down the stretch, you're going to have Luka and Kyrie being able to bounce it off of each other and hit those big time shots. And for Minnesota, the guy to hit those shots is just going to be Anthony Edwards by himself. Cat's not going to be there taking those big time shots. Rudy's not that guy. And so if it's going all 7 and it's going to come down to the wire, give me Luka and Kyrie over just Ant.
Okay. I think it's going to be a great series regardless. Shall we? I have Minnesota in 7. Cottrell has Dallas in 7. Set the table for us.
I do agree with both of you gentlemen. I think it's going 7. I think it's going to be a great series. I think it's going to be a series of adjustments. Like you guys have both already mentioned, I think it's going to be very interesting to see how the coaches get the matchups they want, especially down the stretch and, kind of in big moments in the game. As much as I think Dallas might have, an advantage with getting Rudy away from the basket, on that side of the floor, I think they have distinct advantages on the other side of the floor. I'm curious to see who's going to line up against Edwards because I don't think it'll be Kyrie or Luka. So I'm going to be curious to see who Jason Kidd runs at Anthony Edwards for most of the night. But I'm going to go with the team with the depth that I think plays together better as a team. And I think having the 2 bigs, I think at some point matters. I'm going with Minnesota in 7.
Okay. I think you'll see a lot of Derek Jones Jr. on.
Yeah.
I think you'll see a lot of Derek Jones Jr. on.
And they'll probably switch it up and throw PJ at him sometimes. Also, we'll go to the bench, whether it's going to be one of the young Jadens off the bench I'm
almost sure this will be McDaniels. I'm almost sure McDaniels will be guarding Luka. Just to be clear.
And Nick, this comment here, I love everything from you, Nick. I love all the feedback. Saying Gobert will be the game changer, and you're talking about offensively, Lively and Gafford won't be able to contain him. I told Bill and Gene earlier today, if you stuck Rudy Gobert in an empty gym and you locked him in there, if you told him he couldn't dunk, he wouldn't have 10 points 12 hours later. Gobert is not going to do anything offensively on Lively, on Gafford, on anybody. I mean, that's just the reality.
Yeah,
He's not offensive guy.
Averages what, like 10?
12. I think it's 12.
Yeah,
I'm almost sure it's 12.
Defensively, of course, I think he can be that. But saying Lively and Gafford can't contain him, they don't have to do much. Just stand under the rim, don't let him dunk, and he won't score.
12.2.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess in theory, if you think you can get 16 to 18 out of them, if you don't think either one of those guys, I mean, it matters. Yeah.
Rudy did catch that 17-foot post fade. That's when I knew the game was over, though. When he hit that fade, bro, I'm not kidding with you. When you seen that fade go, I think that was like to bring it from 4 to 6 points or 6 to 8 points. I knew immediately when Rudy Gobert hit a 17-foot post fade with like 3 minutes left in the game. I'm like, Minnesota's winning. That's more improbable than Chris Jenkins walk off. It was. I feel like that if you gave Rudy Gobert 15, 17-foot post fades, he'd make 3 of them.
Out of 100?
Out of 17.
No.
Not 3 out of 100. Come on.
Bro, he stinks.
Oh, we got Rudy Rodman comparisons.
Stop it.
I'm having fun, guys.
I'll go out on my branch here. Daniel Gafford is going to outplay Rudy Gobert in this series.
Bro, the hate for Rudy Gobert, and granted, he deserves it. He's just an asshole. But the hate for Rudy Gobert is taken to another level. Draymond Green recently was on a podcast talking about he thinks it's very interesting how 2-time Defensive Player of the Year is not able to stick Nikola Jokic, and they needed Cat to stick him. He's like, I'm just watching. It's really interesting. Yeah, I mean, they did that so he could play center field. I mean,
in that portion of it. So I said last week, how I felt about Gobert. I felt
You're a
like
Gobert hater. It's fine. I don't like Gobert
if
either.
you're a 3-time defensive player of the year, you should be able to stick, Joker sometimes and make him uncomfortable. I said that, and I still feel that way. But it is real rich for Draymond to double and triple down on that, knowing that, well, when the Warriors won their first NBA Finals, Draymond Green was a Defensive Player of the Year guy, and the only way that they slowed down LeBron was putting Andre Iguodala on him. So it's rich coming from Draymond being in a very similar situation and him saying that. And then they
That
win
is
the
a
finals
line.
together.
I didn't even know. I forgot about that. And that is a line that we needed to hear tonight.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's rich coming from Draymond, but it's also like, I got it. Like, I got the point that he was trying to make. And then he doubles and triples down. And it's like, hey, settle down, pal. We remember 2015. Like, we were there.
This is accurate. And this is exactly what I said to you last week. Rudy held Jokic to 10 for 28 before game 5. So he was doing great until Jokic went superhuman in game 5. And that's literally the only game Jokic went superhuman. And that's everybody takes their shots at him for that game. I agree with N1 podcast 100%.
I think the other thing you look at too, I mean, I think Cat's getting a lot of shit, but I mean, I think he's playing better now than he ever has.
I agree.
Mean, his confidence is through the roof right now. I think he's going to matter in the series one way or the other.
By the way, off topic, N1 podcast posted this, so let's talk about it for 1 second because we got a lot of time, and that's fine. NBA first team All NBA, Jokic, SGA, Luka, Giannis, Tatum. Any issues on that list?
That's 100% right. I think that's spot on. First team.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with it.
It's hiding my face too, so it's doing even better. Second team All NBA, Brunson, AD, KD, Ant Edwards, Kawhi Leonard.
I have no issue with that either.
And then third team All NBA is Curry, Booker, Halliburton, LeBron, and DeMontis.
I'm assuming JoJo didn't play enough to qualify.
No, JoJo 38 games.
Not close.
That's
the other thing too that kind of sucks is you don't know who could have qualified and who can't. Like I know there are a lot of people that didn't ultimately qualify, and that's why they're not here. Like you talk about Joel, obviously Joel was on pace. He would have been the first second team guy, one way or another. Yeah, every time. So I don't have any issue with any of these lists. I mean, I think there are some, players that are close here, but I have no like serious issue with any of these lists.
Did Wemby not play enough games? I don't know why.
No, he did.
I think Wemby should have been on the third team over LeBron. I said LeBron intentionally just to see if I can get a friggin' reaction. I got nothing. I got a stone-faced nothing. That was just a troll, by the way. All right. So I want to throw up the $15 thing. By the way, this is fun to me. I posted this on a whim, like Monday morning at like 11 o'clock after a conference call, maybe 10:30 in the morning. It's currently at 700,000 views on TikTok. Check our TikTok out, Wire2Wire Sports Pod. Cheap plug. Let's see where it's currently at. I don't want to sell us short. It's got another 68. Another 68 comments. Yeah, 740,000 views right now, currently. So I'm good with that. So I want to talk about this, and I want to give you my two lineups that I made. And then what? Can you put it up or no?
No. I can definitely get it back up. I was gonna say I'm surprised you guys didn't have any love for Maxey being on one of these teams.
No, you can't put him over any of the guards. It's guard heavy league, and I love Maxey, but you're not going to put him over Booker with the statistical season that he had. And Steph Curry's he's a legend. He's in another world. So like nothing against Maxey, and I love Maxey, and I'm glad he didn't get it because then he can't get super maxed. If I'm being honest with you,
I get that, but I guess the argument would be Hallie, and I think Hallie had a his last month and a half of
Probably
the
was
season
listed as a forward.
Was he?
Yeah, because they have Booker and Curry as the two guards.
I don't think they've been doing all NBA like that because
they're doing positionless.
I mean, that's what it seems like because you had, I mean, on these other teams, I'm like
Jalen and Ant Edwards, and then it would be AD, KD, and Kawhi as forwards.
But Tyrese Halliburton
being, it's positionless, and one said's positionless.
Yeah,
I'm Brett or Mo. They're both.
Hallie being listed as a forward wouldn't even make sense because he's Indiana's starting point guard.
You're right. I said a forward, not a four. But
no, I said a forward.
Okay,
like, wouldn't make sense.
I mean, maybe Maxey over Halliburton, but Halliburton's first 3 quarters of the year up until February was insane. I'm okay with it. I'm not I'm not hating.
I'm not mad at it at all.
All right. So this $15 thing, I'm gonna give you both lineups that I made. And I want to see if either one of you guys think you can make a better lineup. And I would like the comments, Twitter. I see you guys, 56 Live. Appreciate y'all over there. Anybody on YouTube, Facebook thinks they can do a better lineup, right? So here's my 2 lineups. The first lineup I think this lineup's unstoppable. Like no one could ever stop it, ever, ever, ever. It's $15. I got Steph Curry at the 1, Michael Jordan at the 2, Larry Legend, who, by the way, might be one of the biggest steals at the 3. Like, how the hell is he listed below Kevin Durant? Like, what are we watching? And then I looked at great value. I got Dirk for $1 and the 3-time MVP Nikola Jokic for $2. That's my $15. Now, when I looked at the team, I said offensively, no one's ever going to stop them. But defensively, they lack a lot. They're not athletic as they should be. The interior defense isn't where it should be. So I did a second one. And the second one was basically my all-around team, the team that I would throw on the court and I know would go 82-0. And that was LeBron at the 1, Jordan at the 2. So I sent $10 right away. And then I went Kawhi, KG, and Dirk at the 3, 4, and 5 to be able to give me some interior defense with Kevin Garnett. So obviously you have great switchability at the 1, 2, and 3 with LeBron, Jordan, and Kawhi. And then Dirk is going to help you stretch the floor. Kawhi can hit threes. LeBron can hit threes. And Jordan wasn't a terrible 3-point shooter, but those 5 would be my second lineup. That would have been my all-around lineup. Both those lineups are incredible. I am going to have better lineups than these other 2. I know it, and that's okay. Cottrell, Shelly, I showed you this list last night. Cottrell, I'm not sure if you did one yet.
I commented.
You have one?
I'm going to go fast because I did this at the field with Gene last night and actually ended up picking the same thing he did. So
without any type of cohesion,
you
picked the same lineup I did.
Which one?
The Curry, Jordan, Bird, Dirk, and Joker.
So in a weird turn of and twist of fate, I looked at this exactly like Gene did.
All right, so
value. And then what was your lineup, Cottrell?
My lineup, I got Shaq at my center for the 3.
Dominant.
I'm going Jordan and LeBron.
So you have $13, Spence. You got
$13 right off the bat.
You're going Kyrie and Pippen.
And I'm going Kyrie and Scotty.
Yep. That makes sense. And that lineup makes a lot of sense. The only problem I have with that lineup, I'm sorry, do you want to explain it? I apologize. I didn't mean it.
So what I'm thinking here is that when you look at the team as a whole, the only true, I would say, weakness on the team would be Kyrie defensively. But the fact that we would have Scotty, who was an all-time great defender, Mike, obviously all-time great defender. Bron is not all-time great, but I mean he's up there in terms of, one of the better defenders to ever play. And then you got Shaq, who is the most dominant big man who's going to clog up the paint there. I think they'd be able to help out Kyrie a lot defensively there. And then offensively, you would have LeBron running the show there. But in terms of just creating your own shot, Kyrie can do that. Jordan obviously can do that. LeBron can set everything up for anybody. And then with Scotty, he doesn't have to take a ton of shots. but he's going to do whatever you need him to do, whether it's shut down the opposing team's best player, or just hit that occasional shot for you. And then inside with Shaq, if you're throwing Joker at him or you're throwing Dirk at him, like he's going to abuse them down there. Like, and I get it. That means Shaq is going to be forced to go out on the perimeter. Well, hey, so be it. You gotta for what you give, you gotta take something too. So be very comfortable throwing Shaq out there with the rest of that lineup.
But to be fair, all these lineups would go 82-0. They
Sure.
all would. They're all incredible. But the point I'm going to make about your lineup and why mine's better, because it is that you literally you have one shooter. You have one guy that can shoot outside. You have one guy that can hit 3-pointers on that entire team. And the problem with that team, when you bring it up, Scotty couldn't shoot threes. He's terrible at it. Michael Jordan's a career 29% 3-point shooter. He's not a 3-point shooter at all. LeBron has never been known to shoot the three. I mean, he had a clip where he got the 35%. I'm happy for him. Kyrie is the only guy that can shoot 40% from three. So your problem on that team is floor spacing. Matter of fact, I could probably put a team together without those 5 players, removing them, that might beat that. Just because your floor spacing would be such a problem. And you would have a lot of guys that want to travel the lane, drive the lane. You'd have to create a ton of offense from elite defense, which I believe you could do. And that team is going 82-0 in any NBA. But if we're doing an all legends team, and N1 posted very similar. He went Bron, MJ, Pippen, KG, Jokic. You got one shooter too. You got Jokic.
So here's my rebuttal to that.
Okay.
You talk about like having shooters, and I do think having shooters is important, but
floor spacing is important.
Yeah, floor spacing is important. I think you have in that situation 4 guys that can get their shot wherever they want to. Kyrie can get to the rim if he wants to. He can create space and get a jumper. You talk about Jordan not being a great 3-point shooter, that's fine, but he can get to the mid-range and get a shot, even if it is clogged. Like, no one could shoot in the 90s, and Jordan still got to his spot whenever he wanted to and could score literally 50 whenever he felt like it. LeBron, we know what he can do. He can get to the cup. He can also dish it out to whoever's open if people collapse on him. Scotty is going to be the one that's in that weird territory, but it's not like he was an awful 3-point shooter. He was just okay. And then with Shaq, if these guys are missing, he's going to be in there cleaning up everything anyway.
By the way, I would like to point out, whoever made this list and put Anthony Davis as a $3 option over Kevin Garnett and Dirk Nowitzki needs to be thrown out. Like, that's out of your mind. And to have Giannis as a $4 option, if anybody took AD or Giannis on their team, I really think you need to reevaluate your NBA pedigree. Just one of those things.
To be fair, though, let's say hypothetically, if you switch Giannis and Dirk, I think you have to go Dirk, but you have to go Giannis like every lineup you pick.
100%. But I would have put AD at the $1 option.
Fair.
And I would probably went AD, Giannis, Dirk, KG, and Tim Duncan. If you were ranking these, right? Like if we were making just
if you're ranking them, yeah.
I go Kareem, Shaq, Hakeem, Joker, and Dwight Howard in that order right now. Now Joker's going to pass Olajuwon, but right now I have Olajuwon $3 and Joker $2. Is that fair?
Yeah.
You go Timmy, KG, Timmy, KG, Dirk, Giannis, AD. You go LeBron, Larry, KD, Kawhi, Scotty. You go Jordan, Kobe, Wade, Harden, Allen. That's right. And I think the point guards are right. I think the point guards are exactly right. I think the only big issues I had were having Hakeem Olajuwon over Shaq and possibly over Joker, and having Giannis and AD ahead of KG and Dirk. It's got to be. I don't know who's making these lists.
No, yeah. I mean, I tend to agree. With you there for sure. You talked about value. I'm surprised you didn't go with your boy for $2 to run your point.
Well, the reason I didn't go with Chris Paul is because the amount. So I'm doing this in today's NBA, right? And in today's NBA, floor spacing matters, and Steph Curry has the most. He can literally stretch your defense out to almost half court. And the amount, like, so when I look at Jordan and Curry in the same backcourt, the amount of spacing that Steph Curry would have if Michael Jordan was on the team would be absurd. And then you throw Larry Bird in the corner for open threes. Oh my Lord. How do you ever stop that? You got Steph roaming the point. You got Michael in the paint. You got Joker basically standing in the middle of the court, just feeding people. Bang, 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 bang. You don't stop it. It's impossible. You got Larry in one corner. You got Dirk in the other corner. It's impossible to stop. Impossible. But, I just wanted to bring this up because it's got 700,000 views. Just kind of wanted to discuss it a little on the show. We got one more fun topic for you guys before we get into some other stuff. We got a fun topic for you. And Shally doesn't think it's fun. Shally thinks it's stupid. He's made it very known it's stupid. And
I just thought we should have did it 3 weeks ago when it was like the number one topic like in the world.
Well, to be fair, it was just talked about again today because Robert Griffin III and Austin Rivers got back into it.
We are at the bottom of the bell curve on this one.
It's fair, but I have my lineup, and I did my lineup fun, right? You could do your lineup any way you want to do it. Like, I know Trell was talking to me earlier in the week. He's like, Jalen Suggs was a great high school quarterback, and blah, blah, blah. I'm not throwing him at quarterback, man. I'll give you mine.
Mine are all like hypothetical fun ones then. That's how I did mine.
That's the way it should be. That should be fun. You want my NBA to NFL or my NFL to NBA first? What do you want to do first? We'll do the same sport. What?
Either one.
Okay, we'll start with the NFL to NBA. NFL players in the NBA. Here's my starting five. At starting point guard, I have a guy that actually was a multi-sport athlete. A guy that's got great vision when he's hitting the hole. He's a running back. He's playing point guard for me. He can shoot. How about that run CMC? I got Christian McCaffrey running the point. I do. CMC. At the 2, I have another 2-sport athlete. Guy was an absolute stud. And he's a Philadelphia Eagle, so I have to give him some love. Rookie, Cooper DeJean. He's got a shot. He's got ups. He can dunk. Cooper DeJean is my 2 guard. Now at the 3, I have my point forward. The guy's got great vision. He can pass the ball all over the court. He averaged 20 points a game when he played high school basketball. He was a stud. He's an absolute stud anything he does. I got Patrick Mahomes at the 3. Now I got to get some size. I got to get some beef on this team, right? Well, we watched the Celebrity All-Star game, and Micah Parsons is going to run a very good 4 for me. He's going to be a Clarence Weatherspoon, Charles Barkley, big body in the paint. But when you get my center, I got Indianapolis Colts tight end Mo Alley Cox at my starting 5. That's my 5. That's where I'm going. That's what I got, NFL to NBA.
So we got a couple of the same
really
guys.
I'm excited. I didn't expect that. At all.
So my starting point guard is probably the best hooper in the entire NFL, and that's Mr. I want my money and I need it now, Mr. T. Higgins of the Cincinnati Bengals to run the 1. Incredible hooper. He probably could have went on to play college basketball, so he's running the 1 because
he's a tall one though, bro.
I need some size, especially in today's NBA. Like we gotta match up somewhere, you know?
Okay.
My 2 guard is a little he's built very funny for a 2 guard, but that's okay because he can hoop. My 2 guard is gonna be the new and improved white chocolate, Mr. Max Crosby of the Las Vegas Raiders.
Oh, you went real size heavy.
Yeah.
Okay.
We got to get the hoopers. The hoopers that got size, those are the guys that are going to compete.
Okay.
Now, my 3 is a guy that you already brought up. That's the best quarterback in football, Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
You know he can hoop. He's the athlete. He's got to be the guy to, be that tweener and, give us the versatility there. My 4 is another guy that you put in your front court. I got Micah Parsons. I saw a celebrity game too. I saw what you saw. if nothing else, he's going to give us energy, and he's going to, play hard for us.
I'm going to bet your center is the guy I debated on with Mo Alley Cox, because I went back and forth with one guy, but let me hear what you got.
Again, I'm going back to the celebrity game. My center is one of the freakiest athletes in the NFL. Basically the freak 2.0. I got Myles Garrett.
That's exactly,
as my center for my squad.
That's exactly who I was going back and forth on, and I figured you would use him. So I kind of left that one alone. Mo Cox definitely played basketball, good basketball player, big guy, size. I think he can rebound real well. But at Myles Garrett, I get 100%. Makes a lot of sense. Shally, give me your NFL players you're playing in the NBA.
All right, I went a little different. I have some of the guys that you have, but I also have 3 guys that nobody's mentioned yet. So I'm going straight athleticism. Gonna be a little bit long, not necessarily tall, but we're gonna be long. A lot of big wingspans. Gonna be able to match up well defensively, and we're gonna be fast. We're just not gonna be real big. Not gonna be real big in the front court.
Okay.
I'm gonna start the back court. I need a guy that can push the ball, move the ball fast. I'm going Tyreek Hill. I'm going Cheetah at point guard.
Okay.
He's gonna push the ball up and down the court. Nobody's gonna stay in front of him. I got him at the point.
I'm all right with that.
I got the guy Cottrell just mentioned in my shooting guard. I'm putting T. Higgins as shooting guard. Dude's a legit baller. Balled all through college. He's going to go give me 20 every night, run the offense through him. Got T. Higgins at the 2. 3 and the 4, I went with bigger, taller, more athletic guys. I got Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase as my 3 and my 4.
Okay.
We're going to hoop. We're going to jump. I don't know how well we're going to shoot, but, we're going to be athletic. And then my center, I did the same thing you did, Gene. I went with a guy that's a little huskier, freak athlete. Cottrell mentioned him as well. My center, like I said, we're not going to be super tall, but I'm going Michael Parsons at my center.
Okay. So I'll start with the NBA to the NFL. And now this is where I had a lot of fun. This is the one where I can, I don't know. I get it. You guys might laugh at it all you want. The guy that's got the best court vision, the best passer, throws the ball down court all the time. My quarterback is the MVP, 3-time MVP, Nikola Jokic. He's going to stand back there very Josh Allen-esque and just throw darts all over the field. And then he's going to hand the ball. He's going to hand the ball off to my running back, who is ultra athletic and super physical. That's Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook's going to hit the hole hard, and he's going to be tough to take down in the open court. Now, I went with size. I'm looking red zone, right? I'm running the ball. Jokic has – I went size advantage here. At wide receiver, I went with Giannis Antetokounmpo. Give me that big Greek freak size. Give me that at the wide receiver. And then at tight end, I went with a guy that looks like a damn tight end when he plays basketball. Guy's an athletic freak. Give me Aaron Gordon. He'll be able to throw it down at tight end. And at my safety, this was the easiest pick of all. You got a guy that's going to be able to play center field, that's going to hit hard, that's going to run 1,000,000 miles an hour, and you do not want to go across the middle. Give me Ant Edwards. That's my secondary guy.
All right, so I'll go next then. So Gene, you already talked about one of my guys, and hate it all you want to. I know you guys have fun with it. We're winning some football games here. Give me Jalen Suggs is our starting quarterback. Damn it, this is a guy who had Division I offers to go play quarterback, and he's going to be running the show for the NBA guys. Now, for me, at middle linebacker, we're going to go with a guy that likes to hit people, likes to be dirty and muddy up these trenches. Give me Draymond Green, the man in the middle for as middle linebacker for us. Now, on the other side,
I don't know if Draymond Green's playing middle linebacker. Last time somebody got physical with him, he ran off the football field.
This is true, but if you play middle linebacker, you can cheap shot a lot of people and get away with it. That's part of the position. So he's already got the IQ to do that.
Okay.
Now, on the other side of the ball, got to go with the guy that is my GOAT. Got to get LeBron at tight end. It just seems the most logical guy. NBA to NFL make that transition. Oh, you're only giving me 1 year, maybe even one game at this. I got LeBron at tight end. Now running back here, this was a fun one. I'm just going with the athlete. I don't know what he could do out there on the court. Out there on the field, but I know what he could do on the court. Give me Ja Morant as my starting running back. We're figuring it out there. Just the athleticism there.
Pure athleticism.
I kind of cheated a bit. This guy is not quite in the NBA yet, He's on his way. He just had a workout today. And as soon as I saw it, I said, you know what? I want that guy on my team. Give me DJ Burns, the center from NC State, to clog the middle for me and be my nose tackle and make some plays.
I love that. I love that.
All right. I think I have two. So I'll start on the defensive side of the ball. Safety wise, I went with Gene. I went with Anthony Edwards. Super duper athletic. Can play center field. Is going to close on anything that you throw. Love him there. Quarterback, I threw one in just to be fun. Go with Kawhi Leonard in his prime. Guy's a glove, man. I think he'd be super big for a cornerback. He's gonna be long. I think he'd be Kawhi Leonard Island out there. So I went with Kawhi for cornerback. Offense, I had some fun. Wide receiver, I'll get this out of the way because he was already mentioned. I went with Giannis for obvious reasons. Dude's a freak. He's gonna be a huge red zone target. He's gonna be able to out jump anybody. Love him out there. Tight end, I thought LeBron was going to be set here a lot, so I went outside the box here. I'm putting Luka at tight end. I think he's a little bit, I still think he's going to be a huge mismatch for any kind of linebacker that tries to cover him over the middle. I don't know how well he's going to take the contact, but I think he's going to catch everything, and I think he's athletic. He's kind of in that Joker thing where you look at him and you're like, nah, I don't know. He's kind of like a pudgy white guy, but dude's super athletic. He can get open. I like him at the tight end. So I got Luka there. Running back, I was thinking along the same lines as Cottrell. I went for a little bit of a smaller guy, but a freak athlete. I'm going, man, Tyrese Maxey, running back. Don't know how well he's going to hold up, but like I said, for one game, I think if he gets through the hole, with as explosive as he is and he's quick, I think he's going. So I got Maxey at running back. And quarterback, like I said, I wasn't going to put this guy at tight end. I'm putting LeBron at quarterback. Guy's an all-world passer of all time. He's big. He's going to be able to see over anybody. I know I could teach that guy to throw a goddamn football. And he's going to be a dual-threat guy. And most importantly, he's going to hold up. I love the Joker pick. Joker, you better have the best offensive line in the history of football if you're putting Joker behind it.
He's definitely has the vision to see over the line, though. He's going to be in shotgun, just throwing out seeds. He's running the West Coast offense, brother.
He's a statue. He's a statue.
Somebody bends the hoop, they hit that knee, it's a wrap. It's over.
I like LeBron, dual threat guy. He's going to be able to make plays with his feet, improvise. So I'm going to go with LeBron at QB.
I love it. I really do. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm glad we did this. To me, it's a lot of fun. Maybe I'm just cheesy about it, but I love it.
No, it was fun. I enjoyed putting it together once I really started thinking about it.
All right. So before we get into that little MLB talk, I just do want to kind of touch on. Look, I'm being very, very clear when I say this. I don't watch a lot of golf. I don't know what it was about the players, and I think what it was, or the PGA. It's called the Players or the PGA?
They're two separate things. It's a PGA championship.
Okay.
Players
PGA
is the one that's in Florida, it's Sawgrass.
All right. So I don't know what it was about the PGA championship, but I think that the golfers were posting such ridiculous scores and such low scores that I just kind of felt myself entranced to watch it. And I sat down and watched, and I'm not kidding with you. I had Game 7 on, and I had the Phillies, and I had PGA, and I watched Sunday. I did. And I was almost late to my work event because I wanted to see if Xander would birdie the 18th and win the tournament. And I kind of felt a little bit bad for Bryson. Had a hell of a run, he got a very lucky shot, and then hit one of the best shots of the whole tournament. He had a shot on, 18 or 17? I think it was 18, where he hit the tree.
It was 17.
He hit the tree. It bounced in the middle of the fairway, off a tree, and then he sticks a ball 4 feet from the hole. It was incredible. And then he birdies 18 to give himself a chance, ties Xander. But, listen, came through in the clutch, shot that birdie, even after the bad tee shot. You got to remember the shot that he took to get to the green on 18. His feet are in the sand. He hit the ball right on the lip of the sand trap. So his feet are in the sand, hits a shot. and the rest was history. Dropped the putt in, and it was a very good PGA. I had fun watching it. So Shally, give us a little bit more of a breakdown of it, but I loved it. I had fun.
No, I mean, listen.
But I was gonna just say, like, before you even get into that, the craziest part is that wasn't the most eventful part of the entire weekend.
I figured someone would use that. You got to be kidding me. We can talk about that too.
No, so listen, I mean, this was a PGA Championship that was not without, craziness, drama, and on top of everything else, just really good golf and excitement. Gene touched on a lot of it. So listen, with these majors, a lot of people are like trashing Valhalla now because everybody, it was a major and Xander won at 21 under. You're also forgetting they set these golf courses up months ahead of time and really limit how much, water gets put on them, so forth and so on. They got 3 inches of rain the week before the players got there. So like I said, there's always two trains of thoughts with these majors. A lot of people, and I tend to fall on this side, they like to watch the golf when these guys who are the best in the world absolutely struggle to make par. That's what a lot of people want to see out of these tournaments, when I want to see the best guys in the world have to hit, perfect shots over and over. And then whoever wins that tournament, played, really at the end of it, they played the best that week. Now there's the other flip side of the coin, which is what we had this weekend. The course was soft, and when the greens are not rock hard and you're not like putting on cement, which is what they become, people don't realize that. And you let these guys shoot at pins, they are the best in the world for a reason. But you get the finish that you got on Sunday, which was amazing. DeChambeau made the charge late in the day. G mentioned the tee shot on 17 that, for all intents and purposes, looked like was going to probably put him out of the tournament.
Yep.
Ricochets off a branch, goes 40 yards forward. And like Gene said, he steps up in the middle of the fairway, hits an 8-iron to 4 feet, taps in for birdie. And you knew with his length he was going to birdie 18. Xander's big knock for a long time is he doesn't close tournaments. And the week before at the Wells Fargo, he had a big lead on Sunday, and Rory caught him and went right by him, and he kind of folded down the stretch. I'm not a huge Xander fan. I don't dislike him. He's just not a guy that I'm super into. He's an American guy, obviously. So, come any time of major, like Ryder Cup type situation, I'm always going to root for him. I was happy for him, though. That putt he hit that putt an ounce harder. It was going to lip out, and him and Bryce would have went to a playoff. But you could see the weight of the world off his shoulders when that putt went down. So he's a major champion now. Got to give him credit. Like Gene said, he hit his drive on 18, had to stand in the bunker to hit his approach shot, which if you've ever golfed, that is not an easy thing to do. You really have no base. Made a good chip and then made the putt that mattered. The old saying is you drive for show, putt for dough, and he made the putt that he needed to make, and now he's a major champion. But it was definitely a good PGA Championship. A lot of people are saying they don't want to go back there, and I disagree. I thought I thought the course played well, and you had for almost 3 days you had all the big names that you wanted in contention. Some of the guys didn't, like Scotty, Brooks, and Rory didn't play well Saturday, but I think if you get that course set up the way that you want it to, and you just don't get torrential rain, that course would have played a lot tougher. So, but overall, again, as a golf fan, I agree with Gene. I thought it was a good tournament. It was a good watch. And the ending was, it's about as you make the guy have to make the putt on 18 for birdie, not par, for birdie to win the tournament. You really can't ask for anything else.
And it's crazy too, just even piggybacking off that, you mentioned some of the guys didn't play well, but I think Scotty on Saturday, he was even. And that basically took him out the entire tournament. And that's crazy to think. And I get it, everybody else was shooting great at this tournament, but you would think even or 1 or 2 under, I'm not saying that's the greatest day, but you would think you're still going to be in contention. But just the way that course was playing, and how everybody else was shooting, that did take those guys out of it. So
Talk about a bad day taking you out of it. Colin Morikawa had a terrible Sunday.
Yeah, terrible Sunday. You just couldn't get anything going. Couldn't make a putt.
Couldn't make a putt. Short game. You drive for dough and you putt for you drive for show and you putt for dough. And my man could not hit a putt Sunday.
I will say this, man. I mean, and again, to Cottrell's point, like at the U.S. Open, those courses are already set. Like they are set up so damn hard. Like if you're not like an avid golfer, like you can't fathom how hard those courses are to play. But like he said, you show up on a Saturday and Sunday and you shoot 270s, and you're probably in the thick of it. I mean, because you're lucky to shoot par. We went to bed Friday night though, man. I mean, within 4 shots of the lead, you had everybody. You had Morikawa, you had Xander, you had Brooks, you had Rory, you had Scotty. They were all there. And Xander and DeChambeau and all those guys went out and had really good Saturdays, and Brooks and Scotty didn't. Very uncharacteristic for both of them, but still had a lot of star power on Sunday, and it was a really good closing. Like I said, I mean, it's for drama-wise, you can't ask for anything better. You got the leader, never won a major on the tee on 18, knowing he has to birdie to win the tournament. So, I mean, it just doesn't get any better than that.
It was a fun tournament to watch. I'm not gonna lie to you. I watch a little bit more golf, and it doesn't hurt that I'm now an expert long driver. After an outing at Top Golf, I learned how to drive, and I was crushing the ball. I don't know what your miles per hour are, Shally, but I'm at 153 right now.
You're not where I am then.
That's how fast. I used to be 120 miles per hour driver because I would slice everything, so I'd miss it. And like I got an adjustment. I learned a little adjustment on the drive-in swing, and I was crushing them. 260, 155 miles an hour, 153, just crushing.
155 good. I mean, I'm not knocking it by any means. It's just
And I used it, and it was with Top Golf's like cheap little drivers. Imagine you put little cast iron in my hand,
I mean, you gotta go get fitted for some clubs and buy some clubs, brother.
That's what I gotta do. Get on the course and take down Shally in like a golf tournament.
That is not gonna happen.
If I do that, I think I might retire in life.
Go out there and shoot a 135.
Whoa! I'm getting under 100, bro. Put me on a par 3 course. I'm under 100.
I'd hope so.
I'm kidding, bro. I'm kidding. Having fun. Leave me alone, jerks. All right, let's close out golf talk. Wanted to touch on MLB. We made a promise to you guys that we were going to touch on MLB at least one show a month, every month, even in the dog days of summer. In May, Major League Baseball has been, I'm going to be very, very candid and honest, very top heavy. The National League is littered with terrible baseball teams. And I don't mean to be rude when I say this, but it's littered. The Rockies won 7 games in a row, and they're 15-32. You got the Rockies. The Giants have been playing terrible baseball. Last year's NL team that made it to the World Series, the Diamondbacks, they're 3 games below. The Reds have been awful. The Cardinals have been awful. The Marlins have been putrid. The Mets have lost like 20 straight. The Nationals, 21-27. You got 4 teams, 5 teams above 500 in the entire National League. It's been bad baseball, but there is a diamond in the rough. There is something to be touched on. And, one of the biggest topics around Major League Baseball is they call the Phillies record the Mickey Mouse record, because they've only had 1 series against a team that's above 500. And that was the Atlanta Braves, and that was in March. And they were 1-2 in that series. So the Phillies aren't really a good team, even though they're playing 700 baseball, 35-14 on the season, because they're playing teams that are below 500. I don't know. The last time I checked, good teams beat bad teams. And if you win 35 games versus professional baseball players in Major League Baseball, and you're winning at a 700 clip, I don't care if you're playing the Oakland A's every night. You're a good baseball team.
You do care. If it wasn't the Phillies, I don't think you would be like 700 baseball. No matter who you're playing is definitely important. But I'm saying I think you only care as much as you do now because it is the Phillies. Because like we've had conversations before,
Are
like
the
last
Dodgers in
year.
the same National League as the Phillies?
They are.
Okay. Are the Braves in the same National League as the Phillies?
They are.
Last time I checked, did the Braves have the same schedule as the Phillies?
Okay.
So if they're outplaying the other teams that have the very similar schedule,
I guess my point would be if, let's say in this case, the Braves were in this situation, we'd be saying like the Braves are a good team. And it's not even like me downplaying the Phillies. I'm just saying that we've had conversations in the past about the teams you play, especially like when you're going on like these stretches like this, about it mattering. And I'm not even saying that the Phillies aren't the best team in baseball right now, because like not even just record wise, I'm just saying just in general, like they're the best team in baseball as we sit right now. But I'm just saying that in years past or situations past, we've said that it does matter who you're playing and how you're looking out there.
Hitting at a 700 clip. Like, yeah, you could say that if a team's in first place by one game and there's one team that's 601 winning percentage and other team's at 596, and you're like, well, these guys haven't played anybody. When you're winning at a 700 clip, I don't care who you are. It's impressive. It's impressive. Shally, am I wrong?
No.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why, because, I mean, listen, the goal is to win 95, 100 baseball games a year. If you do that, it's like 100% to make the playoffs. And it's a mix and match. However you get there, you're not gonna play 100 games against winning baseball teams just because, like we said, it's you're going to play crappy teams all year. And I'll tell you why it doesn't matter for the Phillies, because the difference with this team is this year, this is a team for the last, I'll say, 8 years routinely struggles with beating the Marlins, with beating the Nationals when they're crap. It's a different attitude this year. They just want to beat everybody. And it's like I said, it's you're not going to play winning baseball teams all year. You're not. That'd be like saying like Cleveland. I think Cleveland has 33, 34 wins, somewhere right around there right now. And they're not playing in a great division, but they're beating who they need to beat for it to matter. The only thing that matters is getting the playoffs. And like I said, getting that combination of, 90 to 93 to 100 wins. It's all that matters. It's all that matters, no matter how you get there. You're going to play good teams along the way. You're going to play bad teams along the way. You play 162 game schedule.
I'll be unlike Cottrell. Hold on. I'll be unlike Cottrell. Here. You know what the most impressive series of the whole season was for me? The Twins were surging, right? They won like 15 out of 18 games. They went and played the Guardians, who lost their best pitcher a month into the season, less than a month into the season, and went and got swept. And then one of the games was close. And the other 2 games weren't close. The Guardians handled business. They won 6 straight. They won 9 of 10. So, look, I don't care who they're playing. They played the Mets. The Mets were above 500 a week and a half ago. They lost 8 of 10. Now they're below 500. So they're a bad team now because they're below 500. It's stupid.
Well, that and like I said, you play 162 games. You're going to have teams that you're playing right now that are below 500 that end up over 500, and then all of a sudden, it's no different than like the college football crap. Like you play a team at the beginning of the year that somebody has overranked, and they end up the season 7-5. But then you're sitting there at the end of the year arguing with people who are judging the committee, and they're like, "Oh, well, Kentucky's a ranked win." Why? Because we ranked Kentucky 20th when they were 1-0, and then they lost 4 or 6 games, and then we realized they sucked, but you still get a ranked win for it. It's the same thing. Like you're going to play teams now that are like the Mets. Like the Mets are going to play around 500 baseball this year. That's what they're going to do. They're not a playoff team yet. They're not there. They're going to be around it though. But again, if you play the Mets, I guess we're playing 16 times a year, 17, whatever the schedule is. Like they're not easy baseball games. You know what I mean? Like I said, it's not like you're not playing Oakland 40 times a year. Like they still all count. So that narrative, that whole thing is just silly to me.
Well, I want to give credit to another team in Major League Baseball that I did not give a snowball's chance of being here. I didn't. The New York Yankees. Let me give them credit where credit's due. Garrett Cole has not pitched a start for them this year. They're first place in the American League East. What we talked about the Yankees before the season started is they did not have pitching. Well, guess what, guys? They have 4 starters that have started 10 games, 5 of them if you count Gill, but that have below a 3.5 ERA. Cortez, Rondon, Stroman have all been very good this year. Very good this year. And look, you have to pitch at that ballpark, which we make fun of it all the time because it's a joke. It's a joke. And you have a sub 3.5 ERA? That's not bad. It's not bad. The Yankees are in first place over the surging Orioles. And yeah, Nick Reyes said it perfectly. Kansas City Royals.
That's where I thought you were going with that.
Oh, well, remember what I said a month ago. I said the best bet in baseball was the Royals at 6-1 to win the division. That was when Bieber went out. I said that. Now they're second place in the division. Now, look, I got to give the Guardians all the credit in the world. I'm not saying they should be favored to win the division, but the Royals are 32-19. How about the Royals? Winners of 6 straight ball games, and they're kicking teams' asses. These are no one-run games.
Beat Detroit today 8-3, and that was with Scooble pitching, who was pretty much untouchable the last 2 weeks in his starts. Bobby Witt Jr. is just Bobby Witt Jr. is
he's looked
the
like
reason he's been talked about for the last 2 years is now he's here. Welcome. That Kansas City team somehow stays in the race and makes the playoffs. He's probably going to be your AL MVP. He is. I think he had 2 home runs again last night.
He's 5 He's 5-tool. Literally 5-tool. The definition of 5-tool. He hits home runs. He steals bases. He has speed. He hits for average. He hits for power.
And the crazy part is that before the year started, like we all were basically like we had Salvador Perez on our list, but he's looking like he's back to being that monster that we saw a couple years ago. Nick Reyes mentioned it as well. Lugo has been pitching like I don't know where he came from. Like before this year, I'm like I would have never thought that he would be a guy that could potentially be the starting pitcher for the AL in the All-Star game. Like if he keeps this up, like that's how good he's been.
You want to hear a ridiculous
year so far?
You want to hear a ridiculous stat? The most wins Seth Lugo's ever had in his career in one season. What do you think it is? He's 7-1 right now. What do you think the most wins he's ever had in his career?
8.
That is correct. 8 wins is the most wins that man's ever had in his career. Did you hear that stat somewhere else?
No, first time. But I figured he was at 7 now. It either had to be 6 or 8. Had to be either he already passed it or he's about to pass it.
He's never had more than 8 wins in his career. He's 7-1. He's pitching at a ridiculous rate. Talk about another pitcher pitching at a ridiculous rate. How about Ranger Suarez? 9-0. He's the NL MVP. NL Cy Young right now. Guy's incredible.
I mean, he keeps doing that. He might be MVP too.
Ranger is definitely taking a step forward this offseason. I think he's taking it personal that Rob Thompson kept not allowing him to pitch through the 3rd time in the order. And I think this year he's out for blood to say, look, I'm pitching 3 times through the order. I think he's cemented his spot as the number 2 pitcher on the staff. He's been number 1 this year, but I think he's clearly better than Aaron Nola. There's no doubt in my mind. If I have one guy for the next 5 years, I'll take Ranger over Nola any day of the week, twice on Sunday.
Bill, I'm sure you have like a lot to say about this. I'll just like chime in and say the interesting thing to me is that for the last 2 years, like when the Phillies have gone on these runs in the playoffs, like I've loved seeing Ranger pitch in the playoffs. Like I always knew, like you guys talked about Wheeler and Nola. And after I saw like Ranger go out there for like 2 starts, I'm like, no, this is the guy who I trust out there, even as like the number 3. I felt the same way about Christian Javier with the Astros in the playoffs. And it's just interesting to see like him finally make that jump to basically pitching how he pitches in the playoffs, but throughout the entire regular season. At this point, he already has 8 quality starts. You already said that he's 9-0 on the season. Like that's absolutely insane.
Yeah, I mean, I saw some stat today. He's the first guy to do it in the last like 53 years. I think it's 9-0, a certain amount of strikeouts, and the ERA under 1.5. Um, Listen, I mean, here's what I'll tell you. Um, a lot of people internally in that organization been high on him for a long time. But he is. I mean, listen, if you're going to compare him to somebody, he's a Cole Hamels S type pitcher. That's what he is. And Cole in his prime was one of the best pitchers in baseball. He is. I would agree with Gene. I would agree with Gene. I mean, he's better than what?
I think there's a big difference, in my opinion, between him and Cole. And Cole did not have ice water in his veins. Outside that '08 run, he did not have ice water in his veins. He allowed the fans to get to him. Ranger Suarez is literally, his temperature is the same in the ninth inning with 2 outs as it is in inning 1 of game 44.
There's differences too, though. Cole,
Yeah.
I mean, Ranger's not the ace of the staff. I mean, Ranger has had the luxury of playing on a good team since he's been in the major leagues.
Sure.
Cole played on bad teams. But I say that not so much in temperament. It's that style of pitching. He's a left-handed, pitcher. It's got a pretty good fastball that he can locate. Throws a really nice cutter, and his changeup is deadly. And that was Cole Hamels' bread and butter, man. I mean, he would locate his fastball, and if you got behind, he was going to throw that changeup that just dropped off the table. Ranger, I think the best part about Ranger is, to Gene's point about taking him over Nola. I mean, obviously that's easy. I mean, I think he's 6 years younger than Nola, but he's young. I mean, and he has got to the point where they thought he was going to be, and you're seeing it now. So, team's really good. I don't know what to say. I mean, it's they have three top of the line starters. I don't even think Sanchez has even pitched that bad. He's had a couple great games this year already as well. He's going to be a very viable fourth. And you got Turnbull and still got
I don't
Walker.
know who their pitching coach is. Who's the Phillies pitching coach?
I forget his name.
I don't know who their pitching coach is, but I got to give him credit. He must be the best change-up pitching coach in the world, because they got 3 guys on that staff that throw the change-up at another level.
I mean, it's if you have a good changeup, it's everybody always talks about fastballs and spin rate and blah blah blah. Still, one of the hardest pitches to hit if you have a good one. If you have a devastating changeup and then behind that's behind a good fastball, you know how to throw it and you can locate it. I mean, it's guys just can't adjust that fast. They've done study after study. It takes the brain 12 seconds to process something and adjust from pitch to pitch. And, with the pitch clock and everything now makes it even more of an advantage for a pitcher. So he's been great. I don't know what to say. He's everybody as good as Glass now has been. He's been way better. If the All-Star game was tomorrow, he's your starter. And it's really not that close. They are winning. The Dodgers, they're winning again tonight. They are said it from the beginning of the year. I know me and Gene disagreed a little bit, but I just thought the attitude, and demeanor of this team was different, and it's you're starting to see it now. They are all on the same page, and I think you're looking at guys like Schwarber and Harper in that locker room that are just they are like this is the way the ship's going, and everybody needs to be on it.
Can I ask you a question? Does this team not remind you of the 07 team that went into the season and said when Jimmy Rollins said, "Oh, we're not the hunter anymore. We're the hunted. We're going to win this division." When the Mets were clearly the better team at the time, which I thought the Braves were, and this Phillies team walked into February and Jimmy Rollins made that bold declaration that we're going to win the division, and that's the team that came back from 7 with 17 to play. Now, this could be the 08 run or this could be the 07 run, but that feels to me like very similar.
I would say behind closed doors, they're probably very similar. I think in public, I think they are very more they're not as brash as that team was. And I don't mean that necessarily in a negative way either, but like Jimmy was kind of more of a vocal, in the press, like he liked to say that type of stuff. Like you listen to Bryce or Schwarber or any of those guys that are, that are kind of the clubhouse leaders. They pretty much say the same thing every night. It's, everybody's contributing. We're playing great team baseball. We're doing what we need to do to win. We're getting great pitching. Not a lot of cockiness. It's very blue collar. It's very workmanlike. And I think that's the way they played all year. I think, like I said, I think this group, Bryson Stott mentioned in an interview, and Marsh did as well, that all off season long, like there wasn't a day that went by that they didn't get a text from Bryce or they didn't get a text from Schwarber. This team's hungry. They've been there. They've been on the doorstep the last 2 years, and haven't gotten it done. And I think they made a concerted effort, this year to keep this team even closer together and really hammered home. Like it's World Series or bust.
Yeah,
because you got to realize.
I didn't want to. I don't want to interrupt you, but we're at 152 right now. Yeah. I do want to at least mention Ellie De La Cruz, 30 stolen bases. The kid's been on a next level stolen base mark. I didn't think anybody had a chance at 100 ever. Again, the way baseball is being played, but this kid is special. Let's give Ellie De La Cruz his roses.
Absolutely. Listen, it's the common word you hear when you hear his name. It's electric, and that's what he is. He's got to figure out defense. Yeah. But he's just fun to watch. He's one of those young kids coming up. He's in that same category as Bobby Witt Jr. and all those guys. He's that next group of absolute electric superstar that you're going to watch on TV for the next 12 years. He's a great athlete. His plate discipline, which was one of the biggest things he had to work on, is already better. That's why he's on base and being able to steal bases, because he's getting on base. He's not striking out a ton. When he has the ball in his hand, you just have to have your head on the swivel, because you have no idea where it's going to go.
All right, well, let's wrap up baseball talk. Cottrell, anything else you want to add before we get into You Got to Be Kidding Me?
Outside of, obviously what Ellie's doing is incredible. Like we're seeing some incredible things right now. Shohei's still at an insane rate. But as far as like teams that are underperforming right now, like just the ones that come to mind, like the Astros, the Rangers, the Blue Jays, and the Diamondbacks, like those are just the four that come to mind real quick. Like of those, or if there's another like under 500 team, like who do you guys think is still in a position to make that run? For me, I guess I'll go first since I just threw it out there. I'm still rolling with the Astros.
Yeah, that's the easy answer.
I think it's the Astros. They haven't played great, obviously. They're under 500 clearly. But I just think they have all the talent in the world, and they're still in striking distance in that division. Seattle's not running away with it by any means. Texas has had a regression, it looks like. I think they'd be my second choice just because they're also in that division. But for me, it's the Astros.
It's the Astros. Do you know that they have the best team batting average in all of baseball? They're the best team batting average all of baseball. They need their pitching to come around, which I think can happen. I don't think that their pitching staff is just lost.
Framber got ripped again 2 nights ago by a freaking listless Angels team.
No, but I think Christian Javier could be a quality star.
Javier's fine, and you're going to get Verlander back to peak at some point. I get it, but that's still
Ronel Blanco has pitched really well for them too recently. Yeah, very well.
When Javier is your third pitcher, that's where you have a huge advantage, because he's probably going to be better than 90% of what teams can put up there as a third starter. They got to figure out Framber, but they're the easy answer. They're already in third place.
It's very noticeable after the spin rate went down how much Framber fell off the planet. No more sticky stuff with him. And by the way, if you guys want to continue getting in this MLB talk, Mr. iBlack Elmore's in the chat. We will have Up and In. It's a great baseball show. Please tune in as much as possible. Appreciate the 123 live that we got right now. Make sure you check out Up and In on Sunday night. Let's get into You Got to Be Kidding Me. We're at the 155 mark. Cottrell?
All right. So for me this week, I am going with Cormani McLean and the Florida Gators. So For those of you that don't know, Cormani McClain was a 5-star kid that went to Colorado from that 2023 class. At Colorado, didn't really see the field much. Dion had talked about him really not studying film, things like that. So he decides to go transfer for a better opportunity. And I'm perfectly fine with that. He lands with Florida and they welcome him with open arms. I like how Billy Napier even went about it. He asked the team, hey, you guys have to vote. Do you want to bring in Cormani? And it was unanimous. They all did. You'd think everything's good. But then it comes out a couple weeks later that, well, Florida right now is at 85 scholarships, and that's the max for college football players. And so Cormani's going to have to go and be a preferred walk-on. Now, normally I'd be like, all right, well, if he's going there and he has to earn it, then, hey, if that's what he wants to do, so be it. But then it also came out that Florida is cashing him out a crazy NIL deal to basically pay for his schooling. And it's basically a loophole for all these scholarship programs. And so for me, I mean, I get it. There's no rule against it now. So Florida's taking advantage of it there. But this is just going to open up the floodgates to get all types of crazy recruiting things going on. So I'll even throw in the NCAA in this as well. Their decision after this came out was they're like, hey, maybe moving forward, we just don't have walk-ons anymore. How about you figure out a plan to get NIL under control and just have it sanctioned to where you have your 85 scholarship kids, like how you've had since the beginning of eternity, and then you just make it where they can't pay for schooling for walk-ons with the NIL money. So this week for me, Florida finding the loophole to get Cormani McClain and basically scamming the NIL collective and really going against everything that it stands for.
Kidding me.
Shally.
There's another can of worms, man. So I'm gonna go with the obvious one for me this week. I'm gonna go with the whole Scotty Scheffler debacle down in Louisville, Kentucky. I think the whole thing, honestly, is just a huge misunderstanding on both sides, and I think it boils down to nothing more than that. I think you had a cop that kind of felt a little bit embarrassed, and and Scotty, who did something that he probably shouldn't have done, and became kind of like a perfect storm, and ended up to Scotty Scheffler being arrested early Friday morning before his round started, which was just absolutely nuts. The coverage and all this. But, I think the serious part of it is this all happened because somebody lost their life. And I hate how the news is literally just glossing over that entire part of it. But, I've read the police report now. I think this is all going to end up getting dropped in the long run. I think there's going to be a handshake deal and so forth and so on. I don't think this is going to go forward because I think it's kind of silly. But the whole hoopla and just the media, just a crazy media thing that happened, and just just literally all about a guy driving in the wrong lane and mistaking a cop for a security guard. It's a little bit more, again, it's a little bit more complicated than that. But again, it's 5 o'clock in the morning on a rainy morning in the dark. It's a lot of misunderstanding, like I said, on both sides. But the whole hoopla around it, some people were saying, he almost killed a cop, and then you have the other side being like, he did nothing
Carried
wrong.
him 10 feet.
Yeah, 12. I think it's 20. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
Sally, I don't mean to interrupt you. You got to be kidding me. I think that your love for Scotty Scheffler is fading the fact that he played this like a complete moron. He drove up the emergency lane. A cop told him to stop. He tried driving by the cop. The cop jumped on his car and he drove the car 20 feet further. Like, that's not a misunderstanding. You should be trashing this guy. Come on, man.
It's different. Again, it's pitch black dark. Nothing had been. Again, I'm not sticking up for Scotty because I don't.
Somebody on your car?
Don't think the case should be dropped. My point is this: it's pitch black dark. The cop's not in a cop uniform. He's in a freaking fluorescent yellow jacket. Like, again, I'm not excusing. When the guy just tells you to stop, you should just stop and be like, "Hey, like, who are you?" Like, it's not that big a deal. I agree with you. I'm just saying, to also overcharge him and try to make him a felon over this is a bit much for me as well. So it'll just be another.
Kidding me.
He was in first place at the time.
All right,
It shouldn't matter though. This is another example of athletes getting away with murder.
I'm going to end on a very serious note. I try to stay away from these things in the sports world. I think we get in the sports world to get away from a lot of this crap. But I told you guys I was going here, and I'm going here. My you got to be kidding me this week is Sean Combs. Video surveillance finally came out of him chasing down his ex-wife Cassie, grabbing her by the hair, punching her, kicking her. Then he posted an apology video, which wasn't worth the weight that it was even put on. It's an absolute ludicrous. Not once in that video did he say, "I'm sorry" to Cassie. He said he's sorry for what happened and it's indescribable. Not once in that video did he apologize to her. Also, I don't believe he's sorry. You're not sorry when you pay $50,000 to the hotel for the camera footage. You're sorry it got out. You're sorry it's national news. Man, I know this would never happen. I know it never could happen. I know that what I say won't reach the masses to be able to make this happen. But I would pray to get in a ring with this man. I would pray you hit me like you hit her. For years, he's been hiding this. For years, he's been making her out to look like a liar, saying that he didn't abuse her. And all the people that knew about it, right? Everybody that knew about it, his bodyguards that knew about it, they're all coming out now because the video is there. You're soft too. You knew a man abused a woman, beat the shit out of her, kicked her, punched her, and sat back and did nothing. It boils my blood. I'm a grown man. You know, if you're being attacked by a woman, you might have the right to defend yourself. But if she's running scared from you and you're chasing her down the hallway, grabbing her by her hair, throwing her on the ground, punching her, kicking her, it says everything I need to know about you as a human being and as a man. I always knew he was a piece of shit. I always knew he was a bad person. Oh my God, it boils my blood inside. I think that this just needs to be a reminder out there to stop victim blaming when you hear things that come out, and especially in situations where you don't know the full truth. And there's always a video somewhere, and it'll always shine when something happens. And I'm really thankful. And that hotel should be shut down for taking a $50,000 bribe from Diddy to hide the security footage. The Intercontinental Hotel. Don't ever stay there. Don't give them any of your money. I don't even know if any of us can ever afford to stay there. They took a $50,000 bribe from Diddy to hide it for the surveillance footage of him beating the shit out of a woman. I'm sick. I had to use my platform and anything I could say on this show to speak out against it. So for that this week, you got to be kidding me.
Kidding me.
I was in a good mood. That got me fired up. I'm raging right now. No, great show though. Good show. Trying to calm myself down a little bit right now. But what's up, Chase? How you feeling? Yeah. Great show. Any final thoughts, Cottrell?
Not really. I mean, next week's show will be fun. We got some more. We'll have more games under the belt, so we'll actually get to see how those series are looking. And then we got some more UFC. Right now, the Timberwolves are up 6 early, start of second quarter. So can't wait to tune in and see what's going on there.
Yeah, Jaden McDaniels having a good start, 12 points. Kyrie, though, 6-9, 13 points already for Dallas. It's a good sign for them. I'm telling you right now, this is going to be one of the best series you ever watch in basketball history. Charlie.
No, I mean, I would say, everybody have a good Memorial Day. Like I always preach, take a second and, I guess, have perspective of kind of what it is, why you're barbecuing. Don't close your hand around any firecrackers, and, have fun, eat a lot of food, and enjoy yourselves. Enjoy the holiday. Enjoy the weather.
Speaking of eat a lot of food, I'm starving. So on that note, happy Memorial Day. I appreciate you guys tuning in the Wire2Wire Sports Podcast. I'm the NFL genius, Gene Walzak. That's Kent State's own, Cleveland's own College Cottrell, Uncle Shally, Scholastic Shally, the Doc. And we are signing out.